the 1993 professional mogul season draws to a close, there's still no clear king of the mountain. This has been a year for surprises, upsets, and new faces in the winner's circle. After 8 events, 7 skiers are pretenders to the throne. But after today, one man will be king as we crown a national champion on the World Mogul Tour. One of the most gorgeous and breathtaking views in the entire world, the Lake Tahoe region straddling California and Nevada. And welcome to Heavenly Ski Resort, the site of the Budweiser Mogul Tour National Championships. Hi everybody, I'm Drew Goodman. Tim Singer's away on assignment in Europe. Chuck Martin from Killington, Vermont continues to lead the overall tour. In fact, he's the only skier this year to win 2 events. But then there's a log jam after Mr. Martin. Let's bring in our mogul expert, Duffy Wilson. Duffy, you talk about a log jam. No less than 5 skiers have a mathematical shot at leaving Heavenly as a champion.
Well, Drew, that's right. But the guy with a really good chance here from Breckenridge, Colorado is Scotty Hall. Should Chuck Martin say not get past the round of 16 and Scott Hall wins, Scott Hall will be the overall tour champion. Those other 3 fellows are Bradley Holmes, Scott Koff, and Cameron Boyle. They're far enough back that both Chuck Martin and Scott Hall would have to fall in the round of 32 for one of those 3 fellows to win.
Well, if you subscribe to the home snow advantage, certainly that would lie with Bradley Holmes and Cameron Boyle. They've done a whole lot of skiing here in the Tahoe region.
Home cooking, and these guys are doing some home cooking here. They were injured early in the year, but both of them feel just fine. That's a long time ago. They've had a great spring, and I look for both of those guys to have a great time on turf.
The Tahoe region, the High Sierras, have been absolutely inundated with snow this winter, but the last 10 days has been like it is today, kind of spring-like, which means huge bumps and enormous troughs on our competition run, aptly named Gun Barrel Run.
Looking down the barrel of a gun barrel that is, and it's time for our Dynastar vertical assault camera. This week it is carried by ski journalist from Vail, Colorado, Bill Carrick. He will be sending us images rather than words.
Racers ready!
The Budweiser Mogul Tour is brought to you by Evian, by Head & Shoulders, and by Ford Truck. Ford Trucks, the best, never rest. And welcome back to a gorgeous spring day at Heavenly Ski Resort in South Lake Tahoe. Along with Duffy Wilson, I'm Drew Goodman at the National Championship of the Budweiser Mogul Tour. 54 skiers started the competition this morning, and one of the favorites, Scott Hall, was eliminated early when he lost his balance on the second jump and never fully recovered. Mike Rushton from Bountiful, Utah, advanced but was beaten in the next duel. Chuck Martin, wearing the Head & Shoulders above the rest tour leader bib, really dodged a bullet in the round of 32 when he caught an edge coming off his first jump. Skidded out of control, but he managed to get right back into it and out-ski CJ Turbo Turner. Martin's next run gave him the chance to show off the World Cup form, which made him one of the top Olympians in last year's games in Albertville. Meanwhile, competitor Gary Margot self-destructed with an attempt at a helicopter. Ouch! Margot went down hard and Martin advanced to the quarterfinals. Robert Aldegari, who won at the Bud Mogul Tour's last stop at Arapahoe Basin in Colorado, was upset by French-Canadian skier Michel Forget. Forget's graceful form on that helicopter earned him a berth in the quarterfinals. And here's how those quarterfinals will look. Chuck Martin will go against former Rookie of the Year Chris Carson. Tour veteran Scott Koff will duel Bad Rad Bumpin' Brad Holmes. Then Scott Harrington faces perennial favorite Cameron Boyle, and Pete Moline will meet Michel Forget. And in the gate for the first run of our quarterfinals, Chuck Martin, who leads the tour. He's skiing out of Killington, Vermont, originally from Rutland, Vermont. And on the right side of the course, Chris Carson from Kalamazoo, Michigan. He now makes his home in A Basin in Colorado.
And Chris Carson advanced over Justin Patnode. Chuck Martin advanced over Gary Margot. 8 guys left. Martin coming out on the left side. Margot on the red, on the right.
They hit their first aerial, big air, a double eagle for Chuck Martin on the left.
Chuck Martin now making those turns. The blue courses seem to kind of wander, but look at Chuck Martin hop up there, skip over a bump, great turns.
Really cranking out the turns, skimming over the top of the bumps. Martin has the lead again on the left as they approach the second and final aerial. He gets a double big air, a triple maneuver for Carson. Getting across is Martin first. He'll win the speed points. He looks in good shape as the judges make their decision. It'll be a blue course winner. Chuck Martin will move along to the round of 4 over Chris Carson.
Well, it's a good thing this is a long course because that 3-2 air win is not represented in Chuck's air right there. That triple was 3/3/4. Great turns in the middle for Chuck. Nice soft snow, great upper body position, a lot of nice turns.
To the top of Gun Barrel Run we go again. Scott Koff will come out on the left. He skis out of Vail, Colorado. Bradley Holmes, who's from the north side of this Lake Squaw Valley on the right, he barely beat Chris Drops in the round of 16.
Bradley Holmes had a squeaker there, and Scott Koff just got past Scott Rawls in that round.
Koff, one of the graybeards, ageless knees. He's on the left, Holmes on the right. This should be a great matchup.
Drew, this is going to be a great look at 2 different techniques. Bradley Holmes is really fast and direct, and Scott Koff actually skiing the same way. Koff's in the lead right now, and look at Bradley Holmes.
Oh, Koff goes down on the left, but he's right back up.
Brad Holmes with great turns above the lower air. Let's look at this. Nice spread, and a huge daffy by Koff.
They'll move across very close in speed. Holmes wins the run. We'll see how much the fall hurts Scott Koff. Red course winner, Bradley Holmes, trying to win on the home snow, moves along to the semifinals.
A huge 16-9 win for Bradley Holmes. We've talked about one mistake costing you the run. You've got to keep your shoulders square to your skis. And right there, Scott Koff got onto his uphill edge, couldn't stay on the snow, and fell down. You know, Bradley Holmes is a great technical skier. Look at those knees, look at that body position. He is right where he wants to be. He's also very aggressive. Nice Cossack and a big win for Holmes.
So Brad Holmes will move along to the semifinals, and our last 2 quarterfinals are still to come right after these messages. Welcome back to Heavenly Ski Resort in South Lake Tahoe. Along with Duffy Wilson, I'm Drew Goodman. A beautiful day for skiing, a beautiful day to be in the bumps. Now, unlike ski racing, mogul skiing is not a timed event, though they go down in a dual format. It is a judged event. For more on that, here's Duffy.
Well, our judging takes on a very special flavor here at the Budweiser National Championships, as joining us some legends of freestyle skiing. In the judges stand right now is John Clendenin, Scott Brooksbank, and Chris Thorne. But they still have the same job to do. Our judges have 25 points to divvy up between the 2 competitors. There's 2 turns judges and 1 overall judge, each with 5 points, and that's why turns are so important, because the turn judges have 10 points and the overall judge cares a great deal about those turns. Going along with that, the air judge has 5 points to split up, and so does the speed judge. 25 points, 13 or better, and you move up.
Our third pair of quarterfinalists are set in the gate. Scott Skyman Harrington will come out on the left side. Cameron Boyle on the right side. Now, Harrington has skied in only 5 events this year, but each time he has made it into the top 10. Obviously, he'll be among the top 10 again this afternoon. Cameron Boyle, speaking of top 10 finishes, has more than any other Bud skier ever.
Blue course ready. Racers ready.
Scott Harrington just launches himself out of the start, both guys to the air, and look at Harrington, huge double off the first jump. Cameron Boyle seems to be having some problems in the middle section of the course, not able to establish a line.
And meanwhile, Harrington really cranking the turn, skimming off the top of the bumps on the left.
Oh, and look at that triple by Harrington at the bottom.
Great maneuver for the Skyman. He'll win the speed points also over Cameron Boyle. Let's see how the judges see it. It'll be Scott Harrington. Big victory, 15-10 over Cameron Boyle. He moves along.
Got things started off very nicely with his triple, a spread, twister, spread. Decent landing, and he gets right into his turns on the red course. There is a nice line right there. Cameron skiing very well. But on the blue course, Scott Skyman, after a great start, just goes airborne. Huge spread, great twister, and watch these turns. Look at him, he picks up that right ski. He's just bouncing down there, very aggressive and real sweet.
Stakes and everything.
Our final set of quarterfinalists are ready to go. Pete Megadeth Moline on the left out of Phelps, Wisconsin. Now skis out of A Basin. Michel Forget from Terrebonne, Quebec, Canada will be on the right. Former member of the Canadian national team. In fact, he quit because he was competing with his twin brother.
And this is the bottom side of the bracket. Scotty Hall is gone, but it's Megadeth on the blue and Forget on the red.
And Moline cranking the turns, has the slight advantage in terms of speed, but Forget really with his knees sewn together on the right.
What technique. This Canadian can really, did you see those turns? There was about 8 in a row. It was hard to count them. Forget skiing very well. Here comes the lower air.
Oh, helicopter, and Forget goes down. Let's see if he can pick it up and get across. He tried a 360, went around almost to a 720, and that could hurt him dearly. Moline was 4th at Sunday River. He'll have an opportunity to do better than that today. He's into the semifinals. Our semifinalists are set. Here's a look. It'll be the tour leader, Chuck Martin, skiing off against Bradley Holmes, and then the bottom half of the bracket, the Skyman, Scott Harrington, will take on Pete Moline on the California side of Heavenly Ski Resort. And if you do not know, Heavenly is a vast ski area. It encompasses not only California, but also Nevada. And the Seacrest Pro Team got together the other day, earlier this week, skiing on the Nevada side. They were looking for the steep and the deep, and they found it. Welcome back to Heavenly Ski Resort and the Bud Mogul Tour National Championships. Along with Duffy Wilson, I'm Drew Goodman. And the head and shoulders above the rest bib will reside and stay on the back of Chuck Martin from Killington, Vermont. He wins the overall title. It is official now.
Well, he's worn it well. He's had it on a long time. Nobody took it away from him. They did not take it away from him here. And Bradley Holmes now is number 2. Those guys are coming up next, and they're going for the national championship. And Drew, that's pretty important. Sure, the overall tour championship has been settled, but this is the biggest prize money on the tour, and this is a chance to be the national champion. There's 4 guys that still have an opportunity to do that.
A purse in excess of $45,000, and I'm sure that has not been lost on our 4 remaining competitors. They're set to go. The semifinalists are at the top of Gun Barrel Run. Let's go there now. And here they are, the top 2 skiers on the tour. It'll be Bradley Holmes on the left, Chuck Martin on the right, former member of the U.S. Olympic freestyle team. He was 14th in the Winter Games at Albertville.
Both great World Cup skiers.
Racers ready.
This should be a great matchup. Again, Holmes is on the left, Martin on the right. Huge air for both skiers.
And great landings. They are putting it down. It's soft snow. They're not scared. They're just sticking their feet on the ground.
Was flirting with the center of the course for a moment.
Nice turns by Chuck Martin right there as Bradley has a little problem just above the lower air. This is going to be a close call.
Double twister for Holmes. They both scoot across simultaneously across the finish line. It'll be in the judges' hands. So by the slimmest of margins, 13-12, Chuck Martin fitting. Number 1 beats number 2.
A very close call for 1 and 2, and we're going to take an ISO right now on both of these guys. Look at Bradley start off a nice triple spread, twister spread. This is Bradley Holmes. He's a great technical skier, and he's very aggressive. Look at those legs, look at those knees. He's on every turn in the middle section, and the blue course kind of takes you all over, left and right and back over to the left. Setting up right now for the lower air, a fully twisted double at the bottom, a nice run. Chuck Martin on his way down to the first jump, a triple. Not quite as good as Brad's. I'm surprised the air judge went 3-2 for Chuck. But look at Chuck's turns in the middle section of the red course. Kind of disappears there. Nice quiet upper body, eh? Chuck Martin on his way now to the lower air as Chuck sets up. Here he comes, Daffy, twister, and a win.
Our second set of semifinalists, Pete Megadeth Moline will be on the left. He was 4th earlier this year at Sunday River. He'll go against the Skyman, Scott Harrington, who has been in the top 10 every time he has competed this year. He was 10th in his last outing at A-Basin in Colorado.
And these are 2 guys seated 15th and 11th coming out of the bottom side. The winner here will see Chuck Martin in the final.
Harrington's out, those yellow pants on the right, and he gets great elevation, as does Moline.
Moline found a nice place to put it down on the blue course. Pete is getting into his turns right now, and look at Scott Harrington. Both of these guys going real fast.
Harrington really starting to crank the turns. Now he gets a little wild. The course getting chewed up. There's the patented helicopter from the Skyman. And across the finish line they come. It'll be very close. Harrington and Moline. Red course winner Scott Harrington, who was 3rd at the national championships last year. A chance for a little bit better than that. He'll meet Chuck Martin in the finals.
They call him the Skyman, so let's take a look at his specialty as we see him set up for this lower jump. He's getting knocked around here. Scott's got one thing on his mind. He's got to get to that air and have good body position for his takeoff. He's setting up right now. Scott comes in. He gets very straight. See that little wedge? Look at that lift extension. Great helicopter by Harrington.
And the Skyman, Scott Harrington, will need a special run in the finals. He's going up against the Bud Mogul Tour overall season champion, Chuck Martin. Both of these skiers continue to call Killington, Vermont home. And all week, the Budweiser Mogul Tour staff and crew has called the Lakeland Village Beach and Ski Resort home. We've enjoyed the convenience of being walking distance to the lifts while living right on the lakeshore in South Lake Tahoe. Our finals coming up next. And welcome back to the Bud Mogul Tour. Along with Duffy Wilson, I'm Drew Goodman. Here's the battle for 3rd place. It'll be Bradley Holmes on the left against Pete Moline on the right.
Red course ready. Blue course ready. Racers ready.
Holmes gets out. He at one time was the youngest member ever of the U.S. freestyle team, made the team at the age of 16, and he has good speed and good turns going on the left side.
Holmes with the double on the first jump, a twister spread. He's looking really good as he gets a little bit wide right there, but Bradley Holmes is flying, and Pete Megadeth Moline is trying to catch up on the red course.
Fatigue has to play a factor at some point. These guys have skied about a half a dozen runs in competition already, and getting the skis across first, Bradley Holmes, he had a good run on that blue course. And in convincing fashion, it is indeed Bradley Holmes. He'll take third position. We've arrived at the final run from the National Championships of the Bud Mogul Tour. On the left, Scott Skyman Harrington, 30 years of age, originally from New Hampshire, now skis out of Killington, Vermont. Chuck Martin, the Tour champion, is on the right. He's 25. He also skis out of Killington. Who has shock absorbers left?
Well, Chuck Martin certainly does. Scott Skyman Harrington has them when he takes that big air and lands right on his feet.
Nothing to save it for now. We'll see if Harrington really flies off these top aerials. Harrington again on the left, Martin on the right. This is for all the cookies in the jar. Big air for both skiers. Oh, Harrington, what a recovery on the left.
Harrington had his ski wrapped around his head and he put it back on the snow. Chuck Martin with a very, very nice solid run. Harrington's mistake could hurt him. Let's see what he does in the air now.
He's getting wild again. He has a big spread, a double, a twister to finish it for Martin. The speed won by Harrington, but a more together run by Chuck Martin on the right. We'll wait and see. Chuck Martin, not only Tour champion, but now national champion. His third victory of the year. He wins at Heavenly to go with his victories back east at Killington and Sugarbush.
Scott Harrington has been skiing on the edge all day, and this time he falls off the edge. He gets a little back there. It's a great recovery, but you do not get points for great recoveries. You get points for great air and great turns. There's Chuck Martin, a great skier.
Let's take a look at the final standings from the National Championships on the Bud Mogul Tour. Chuck Martin on top, Scott Skyman Harrington is second, then Bradley Holmes in third. Cameron Boyle had a pretty solid day. He finishes sixth. As we turn the page, Scott Rawls was ninth. Greg Goodison had a solid day. He was 10th. Justin Patnode had a good season. He finished 12th. But all the hardware this year goes to not only the Tour champion and the National champion, but the Rookie of the Year from Killington, Vermont, Chuck Martin, and he's standing by with our Duffy Wilson. Duffy?
Thanks a lot, Drew. It's a triple treat for Chuck Martin here in Heavenly. He not only is the overall Tour champion, he becomes the national champion, and he gets the biggest payday of the year. Congratulations, Chuck. Everybody was trying to get that bib off you, but they didn't get the job done.
Yeah, it started off to be a slow day today. I crashed my first run in the round of 32. Thought it was all over on the top air. First run of the day, and a lot of pressure on me. And my opponent ended up falling at the bottom. So I hung in there, and I felt like I just kept skiing better and better and better all day.
There was a huge gasp when you almost fell in the round of 32, and it came from all the competitors. They went, yes, oh no, he's back up again. Well, how does it feel to be the champion this year on the tour, all three championships?
It feels great. I mean, it couldn't have been a better day for me today. I just needed to be in the top 15 to win for the day, or to win the overall tour.
Right.
And I won for the day. It couldn't have been a better day for me, and I'm totally psyched.
He is totally psyched. A lot of great competition all year long. I know you thank all the guys that pushed you so hard. There he is, 3 championships for Chuck Martin, and here in Heavenly Valley, he's the Tour champion and the national champion for Budweiser Mogul Tour.
So Chuck Martin is indeed king of the hill in the Bud Mogul Tour final standings. 19 points ahead of Brad Holmes, then Scott Koff, Cameron Boyle, and Scott Hall. The next 5 led up by the Skyman, who had a terrific day today. Congratulations again to Chuck Martin. For my partner Duffy Wilson and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Drew Goodman saying so long from South Lake Tahoe and Heavenly Ski Resort.
Ski wear for the Budweiser Mogul Tour staff and crew, provided by Mountain Goat. People who know where they're going and why.